It's safe to say that Demi Lovato has been on a journey of self-discovery over the last few years, and she's made the headlines once again for expressing her new choice of pronouns. Now, I'm sure we all agree with the headlines that are giving the impression that we can't find anything more important going on in the world right now than Demi Lovato's pronouns. But for those who couldn't care less about Demi's pronouns, there's actually something that's a lot deeper about all of this that I think is worth talking about. So Demi's journey of self-discovery has been public over the last few years, and it's a journey that's left even a lot of her most loyal supporters genuinely confused. It seems people either think that she's confused or they themselves feel confused. They're confused because in the past she identified as she, her, then it was queer, then pansexual, and then just last year she identified as they, them.
I'll officially be changing my pronouns to they, them.
But just a couple of days ago, she's changed her pronouns from they, them, and she now claims to identify with she, her once again. In a recent podcast, she explained it this way.
I've actually adopted the pronouns of she, her again. So for me, I'm such a fluid person that I don't find that I felt like, especially last year, my energy was balanced and my masculine and feminine energy. So that when I was faced with the choice of walking into a bathroom and it said women and men, I didn't feel like there was a bathroom for me because I didn't feel necessarily like a woman. I didn't feel like a man. I just felt like a human. And that's what they, them is about for me. It's just about like feeling human at your core. Recently, I've been feeling more feminine.
Now, of course, this announcement got people talking, and it left a lot of people in the LGBTQ community confused as to why she thinks that she can just change how she identifies so quickly. The reason why is because those in the LGBTQ community have historically understood identity to be something that doesn't change, and it's something that's always been true for the individual. So for them, having a gay or a bisexual or a transgender identity isn't something that you can create or change, but instead, it's discovering what you've always been.
Why is this issue for me of identity in my head 24 hours a day, every day, 365 days out of the year? You can't take 2 aspirin, get plenty of sleep, wake up the next morning, and you're fine. It's just always there. It's who you are.
What they believe they discovered is something that's always been true of them in every setting, and that's how identity has usually been understood. So therefore, some of those who felt as if they discovered their true identities, they were understandably offended and confused as to why Demi seemed to think that she could just change her identity consistently, since identity is something that they don't believe does change. But Demi bases her identity on how she feels in each moment, and so then it makes sense as to why she believes that her identity is always changing.
Because I didn't feel necessarily like a woman. I didn't feel like a man. I just felt like a human. Recently, I've been feeling more feminine.
Now, I honestly feel for Demi because she's clearly been on this self-discovering journey for a long time now, and it's clearly something that's incredibly important to her. But given her path of self-discovery, it doesn't seem possible that she'll ever discover her true self since there's nothing stable to discover. Instead, it seems to me that she'll only be gaining insight into how she feels inside at each particular moment and not necessarily anything more than that. And I feel for her because I don't think that she's going to be able to find a way out of this dilemma until she stops looking inside to how she feels in order to find herself. Now, just to be clear, this isn't all Demi's fault because Demi seems to just be following a common thought and culture that's taken to be fundamentally true. The thought that in order for us to discover who we truly are, we should look inside to how we feel. That's something that's taken as common sense today, and it's actually a view that I myself used to hold as well. Before I was a Christian, my identity would also change a lot based on the current passions that I had, like being a music artist or an author or a poet and so on. So I can understand what it's like to look inside to your desires and define your identity in them. What's interesting though is that Demi used to identify as a Christian in the past, and back in 2019, she was actually baptized in the Jordan River, and she made a post saying how it made her feel closer to God than ever. Today, I'm not sure what she thinks about Christianity, but my prayer is that she'll come to have a similar experience as I did after becoming a Christian. After I became a Christian, I realized that my identity had changed for the last time. And even though my identity used to change every couple of years based on where I was at in my life, after I became a Christian, I found peace in coming to learn that my identity wasn't found inside of myself. I realized that becoming a Christian meant that I was born again. And when we become born again, we become new creatures that will live eternally. So our new identities are eternally stable where our old identities aren't. For me, at the time, I didn't realize just how much that changed my life for the better. And I talk about that some in this video. So go ahead and click here if you want to see what I mean. But the next time that you find yourself finding your identity and how you feel, what are you going to say? What do you mean?